this message is about a trip that we took out west. We came back about 2 weeks ago. We were gone for about 10 days. We had a really incredible time. And it was not a motorcycle trip, thank goodness, because on the way back it just poured. Oh my goodness! And but it was an automobile trip, a road trip, and we went out west as far as the Grand Canyon, and then we went down to Phoenix, and then through El Paso to Waco, and it was an incredible time. We'll talk about that. But I wanted to share with you what God had reminded me or revealed to me while we were out there on the trip. Now, I didn't hear any moans. I did see some eyes rolling. But I want to make sure that this is not just an opportunity for me to show you my vacation pictures. I don't want to put anybody to sleep. And besides, even though my wife said that we weren't going to do it, it was about the second day that she started, it was about Winslow, wasn't it? Yeah, about Winslow, Arizona. She posted stuff on Facebook, and people, all of a sudden people realized, oh, they're not home anymore. But I was confident that everything was going to be okay at the house because we had prayed protection over us and everything there. Besides, everything that's in that house belongs to God anyway. We just are caretakers at the time. So this is not about me showing vacation pictures. It's about God. It's about Jesus. It's about the Holy Spirit. It's about perspective, and it's about who we are and how we see ourselves and our place in God's creation. Pastor Josue spoke a little bit about this last week. Do you remember what Pastor Josue spoke about last week, about speaking words of encouragement into his children? Daphne, for instance. He said, Daphne's strong. And you ask, she tried to pick you up. She picked you up today, didn't she, Cooper? Daphne is strong. Well, that's how Daphne perceives herself. And she is. So there's a couple of aspects I'd like to touch base on with about perspective. By the way, I tried to wear my jacket. You know, I normally wear a jacket while I'm on the platform. But my single-breasted blazer has turned into a double-breasted sports coat. And so I'm channeling Pastor Jeff now, and I wore a tie. So if I were channeling my father, he would be wearing a robe. My sister and brother-in-law are here today, Lori and Jim Dixon. And my father was a United Methodist pastor for 25 years, and pastored local churches here up at Appleton and Brushy Fork and a few other places. And then when the church decided that they didn't want him at their church anymore, he decided to retire. And everybody knows that when you're a pastor, there is no such word as a retirement. And so after 3 weeks, 2 weeks, he finally got tired of sitting on his backside in his easy chair on a Sunday morning and started having home church. So that went on for another 10, 12, 15 years, something like that. So never did retire. But at any rate, I digress. I wanted to talk about a few things about perspective. Now, a couple of aspects about perspective. What do we see there? What you see is my artwork. Yes. I got my Sharpie out and my legal pad, and that's what I said. What do you see? Well, you see a mountain, right? And there's a stick figure like this. And I threw the paper away after I took the picture, so we don't have to worry about signing it or anything like that. My artwork. Anyway, so there he is. He's looking at the mountain. And what's going through his mind? What am I going to do? What do I have to say? Can I climb this? Let's make it personal. Can you climb this? Do you dare? What if I fall? Or better yet, what if I fail? Because it may not be a mountain, it might be a challenge of some type. What if I fail? Interesting, isn't it? He's moved on away up the mountain a little bit. About this point right here, this stick figure is saying, wow, I can climb this. Maybe I can do this. I think I'll make it. Or maybe if I get to the top, I will have made it. Or if he turns around and looks down instead of up or forward, you might be thinking, oh, look at those poor schlubs down there. I'm glad I'm not part of them. You won't hear that in this family very much. If we do, we need to check ourselves. How do you know if you're doing that? You wonder. You might ask yourself, do they belong here? They don't look like me. They don't act like me. They make me feel uncomfortable. There's a check right there. They're just like us. And then we have this stick figure that is near the top of the mountain. He's saying, yay, I can do it. I made it. Or maybe I did it all by myself. They can too. Well, here's the deal. There's a problem with that perspective, the I made it perspective. That's this. That's the masterpiece, I think. It's only because it was so small you couldn't see my stick figure on all the jagged edges there. It was pretty bad. Everyone has problems. Everyone has challenges. Everyone has a giant that they need to slay. And I verified with Pastor Josue this morning. I couldn't find it, but I knew it was there. You, as part of your homework, you can look and find the scripture for me. I think it was the Apostle Paul that said, I treat everyone as if they're more important than me. That's a servant attitude, okay? That's what Paul did. Everyone more important than me. Or otherwise, don't think of yourself too highly than you ought to. Who knows this guy? Yep, Keanu Reeves. That is a very young Keanu Reeves. He's a Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a promotion from The Matrix. And you also have a little bit older Keanu Reeves from John Wick film. He is a mega superstar, makes millions and millions of dollars during his movies. Anybody, including as evidenced by this congregation, can look at his photo and say, I know that person. You may not remember the name, but you know what he's done. So he's a big movie star. Let me tell you a story about Keanu Reeves. I read it on the internet, so it has to be true, right? okay? I do believe this to be true. So let me tell you the story. And I don't have all the details, so I'm going to paraphrase. You will tend to note that I paraphrase a lot. Okay. So this big movie star, flying first class, his aircraft has mechanical problems, and they have to divert to another airport. And they land, and the airport is about 3 hours, 4 hours away from where they want to go. Everybody gets off the airplane, and what does this guy do? He calls a limo or a car or a driver. No, he does not. He does not call a limo to come and get him because he's a special, important person. He calls Avis or Hertz or whatever rent-a-car company is at the airport and rents an 8 to 10 passenger van. It's the only thing they had left, I guess. So he rents a van and he gathers up 8 to 10 people to ride in the van with him, and they take off on a 3 or 4 hour road trip. Wouldn't you have liked to be on that road trip? Keanu Reeves, depending on what character you think he might have been impersonating, whether it had been The Matrix or whether it had been John Wick, you never know whether the bullets were going to be real or whether well, never mind, we won't go there. But that would have been interesting to spend 3 or 4 hours with Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves didn't think himself more important. He just said, hey, we all need to go to the same airport. Let's go. I've rented a van. Let's do it. Awesome. That's another way to look at perspective. It's how he sees himself, not how we see him, okay? Rating yourself. That is another way of perspective. Another perspective is ranking yourself against others. Oh, by the way, when you do that, that's also called judging others. But you can look upon others with love and compassion and empathy, knowing that's, hey, I've been there. I'm going to give you a hand. Hey, come on, brother. Come on, sister. I know I can do this. We can do it together. So there's a whole thing about perspectives that we're going to talk about. They could talk about. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. I found out Tuesday night, Pastor Josue talked to me and he says, we need a title for your message. Oh, title. I know what I want to say, but I'm not sure what to call it. And I talked to Pastor Josue. I said, I'll think of something tomorrow. It was Wednesday. Roxy and Heather want the title so that they can promote it. So they can, I don't know if they can promote it, so they can put it on Facebook. So I came up with a title. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. Something like, I don't know, I found some problems with this. That didn't work, it did. So and I found out from Pastor Josue, I said, man, I don't know what to do about the title. He says, I have problems with that too. Where's Roxy? Is Roxy in today? She's running around, she's helping. I asked Roxy the same thing this morning. She says, lots of times Pastor Josue will tell us what we're talking about, and he says, figure out a title. Oh, is that okay? Okay, just forget I said that, Art. So I told Roxy, I said, I gave her a title, and this is the title I gave. And I didn't like that because I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of things. And we went out west, and we're going to the Grand Canyon. And so here's another one, A View from the Rim. And by the way, my wife did not push me off. I made it back in one piece. I told everybody, just in case there's an unknown life insurance policy out there, I did not fall into the Grand Canyon. It was a wonderful time out there, wasn't it, baby? So I thought about that, and then I thought, well, maybe a view from the edge. What do you think? View from the edge of the Grand Canyon? This title thing is driving me nuts. It's got me on the edge. I just want to share about my trip. And then after I sent Roxy the title of my message, which changed at least 3 or 4 times since that, I thought, well, maybe we can do something like this. That's the ticket. A view from above. Okay? So it's changed 2 or 3 times. I'm just being honest with you. I'm torn, really torn. But what I can share with you is the story of our trip. And what God shared with me and revealed to me. So if you're ready, my goodness, I've stretched this into at least another 20 minutes worth here, so I can go on. And I shall be expedient about that. It was a long trip. I want to give you a thumbnail sketch about what we did and what the trip that we took, the places that we went, and what God revealed. And I think there are 2 types of vacations. Basically, there's a combination of either one, but there's 2 types of vacations. One, there is the travel vacation, or the travel vacation, and then there's the destination vacation. We've been on many destination vacations. We'll go to North Carolina, I've been to Myrtle Beach, and you go one place and you stay, and then you spend the week there. We've been to Pigeon Forge once, been to Florida many, many times. Went to Hawaii. That was incredible. We did that on our 35th wedding anniversary, right? 30th, yes. And thank you. And an incredible time. And that was a destination vacation. Well, this was a travel vacation. This was an exploration. This was an adventure. My wife and I love, at least this is what she says, we love travel vacations. We've traveled the Blue Ridge Parkway 2 or 3 times on the motorcycle. And my goodness, the things that you see at a slower pace. And instead of flying over the country, you get an opportunity to see the country itself. It is really incredible. But that's what this was. We were going out west. It was a long trip. It was over 4,500 miles. And you will see, I don't know if you can see, right there in the upper right-hand corner, that's where Newark, Ohio is. Pardon me. And on the western edge, that is where the Grand Canyon is. And it was a long, there were several 8-hour travel days. And I can guarantee you, I am glad that I was doing those 8 hours worth of travel in an automobile and not on a motorcycle. Because, well, I get kind of fidgety sometimes. The first stop we went to was Branson, Missouri. Anybody been to Branson, Missouri? Got a few over here? Okay. Hey, Branson, Missouri is a great place. It is a great place to see shows. There are great people there. The shows that we went, that almost all the shows you go to see are family shows. And it is in the Ozark Mountains, and it is incredible. I mean, the views are absolutely incredible there. We got there, had a flat tire. No, we didn't have a flat tire. We had a nail in it, a screw, and got that taken care of. And it was, we got that taken care of, and then we still had time to go see a show. We went to see an Eagles tribute show. Eagles, I heard, everybody knows who the Eagles are. I see everybody that's under 30 does not raise their hand, right? Okay, well, that's understandable. It was a great show. They were some really, really good people there. The band was playing great music. They had good harmonies. They were skilled musicians. The audience there, it was a small theater. The audience was there maybe 100 people maximum, and only a few seats that were open. And the audience was filled with old people. Like me. Oh my goodness. They were gray-haired and a little bit overweight. And their joints creaked. You know, I do not remember ever listening to that music thinking that I would be listening to it as an older person. I still don't. I look like I could. White hair, white beard, a few crinkles around my eyes. I might have the appearance, but I don't still see myself as that yet. I might be telling on myself during this message. We'll find out. So from Branson, we traveled west through Oklahoma, through Texas. And on the way, there's something that we noticed. And I have to be honest with you, my heart and my mind was not really attuned to what God was going to say. I was on vacation. I was getting away. I was decompressing. But when I saw things there, that it caused me to stop and pause. The realization somewhere between Amarillo and Windsor, Arizona, was the expanse of the countryside. The picture doesn't do it justice. You can see that road goes on and on for about 30 miles, straight as can be. There's nothing there to see. Just pasture, scrub. There's no roads, no buildings, no forests, no woods. Only small shrubs dotted the landscape. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful desolation. It was my first time out there, and I'd never seen anything like that before. Here's something else I learned. I purposely left my phones back here at my seat with my wife. I thought, I do not want to be distracted by a cell phone. So I left it back here. I'm not sure I turned the ringer off, babe, so sorry. Anyway, here's another thing I learned. I love GPS. GPS is wonderful. I love map programs. Map programs are absolutely wonderful. But you know what? They only work if you have cell phone coverage. Oh yeah, it did. This is the return leg. On the left-hand side, you see El Paso, Texas. We actually started that day's trip at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. Came through El Paso, and our destination is way over here on the other side. It's Waco, Texas. You know what's in Waco, Texas? Absolutely Magnolia, yeah. Yeah, my wife is stuck to HGTV network. I got to tell you that network has cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. No, that's not true. I enjoy watching it too, and there is at least one home improvement couple on there that are believers and are that bless their church family. And we see it coming through in the television show. Although they are not overt and overly churchy, you can tell that it rings through. So we're on our way to Waco. And if you will notice, over here, I can't reach over there. But over here, you got the blue line over here, and it goes straight across, and then all of a sudden that orange line goes down towards San Antonio. Well, that was about 6 hours into a 12 or 13-hour trip, okay? And where that blue line goes east, straight, goes off the interstate. And guess where all the cell phone towers are? On the interstate. And we got about halfway across that blue line towards Waco, and there's no cell towers. Absolutely no cell towers. We'd been driving for about an hour, and I realized my map program wasn't updating. There's nothing going on, and I'm trying to panic. We drive into a little town. There is a huge 150-foot cell phone tower with about 12 of those cell phone antennas on the top. I rebooted my phone, and it's not updating the map. I said, no problem. We're at a little gas station, a little convenience store. I'll go in and ask. Oh, yes, I did. I buried my pride, and I asked for directions. Thank you very much. But I got to tell you, I stood on this side of the counter, and I let a couple of patrons go through, and they bought their Slim Jims and their, oh no, wait a minute, that was what I bought. They bought their iced tea and whatnot, but, and then it was just me, and then I asked the young lady who was about 25 or so, she had a piercing on her lip. She doesn't look like me, but that's okay. I needed help. I said to her, do you know how to get to Waco? And this lovely young lady, beautiful soul. Now, I don't know how to get to Waco. All I know is go up here to Lambassus. Where's Lambassus? I had no idea. We're about 2.5 hours away from Waco, and I don't have anybody that knows how to get there. But I can guarantee you we're getting there fast because we're on a state highway, and that state highway's speed limit was 70 miles an hour. And oh my goodness, it's white knuckle time. I'm going 70 miles an hour, and if there's somebody comes up behind me, I can pull over a little bit and they'll go past me. But if you go 75, no one is going to pass you. And that's what I was doing, 75 miles an hour on a state highway. And I was white knuckled. I didn't know where I was going, but I was getting there fast. So a young man come in. He was driving a shiny white truck, big old four-wheel drives. That's where everybody, that narrows it down, in Texas, narrows it down to about 80% of the population. And the lady behind the counter said, do you know how to get to Waco? Oh, yeah, you go up here to Lambassus and make a left. And what's the highway up there? It's 581. Hallelujah, 581. So we hooked up on 581 and continued on 581 for about another hour and a half until we saw a sign that said Waco. And you know what? When you get within signs of Waco, they magically have cell phone coverage. So, but you know what? I thought about that. Pastor Jeff and I talked about this actually before we left. He was talking to, might have been one of his kids, about learning how to read a map. Oh, do you have a map? Do you know where you're going? No, I got my cell phone. Well, what happens if your cell phone dies? I got a car. I can plug it in. He warned me. That was a prophetic warning. I should have known that was going to happen. What can I say? Anyway, I should have known. And when you're going 75 miles an hour, you don't realize you're going 75 miles an hour until something goes by or some event takes place, and all of a sudden you have to stop. After we left Waco, we went through 2 more states, and I stopped at every visitor's welcome center, and I picked up a paper map. Not going to do that again. Well, you know what? God spoke to me and said, you know what? I've already provided you a map. I've already provided you a way. You've got people telling you, you've got people behind the counter, and they're not going to say, I don't know how to get to Waco. I don't know the way. I don't know the route. But there's people here, there's people in your lives, and there's people that have provided the word on where you need to go and what you should do. God has provided this word. Yeah, sometimes it's paper. Sometimes it's a digital map or a digital Bible in my phone. You know, one thing I found out that I can't do on my phone that I used to do in my other Bibles is that I can't use my highlighter. It messes up the screen when I highlight that. So I've gone back to using my paper Bible with highlight text. And I find that I've already read that once before. That meant something to me way back. So that was neither here nor there. That was just a little nugget for you, and I won't charge you for it. Okay. God has given us a map, and we need to take advantage of that. So we stopped in Amarillo, Texas. Wow, Amarillo, Texas. You know what is in Amarillo, Texas? Nothing. No, that's not true. Amarillo, Texas, there are probably some good people there. Awesome people, I am sure. But there's nothing that we wanted to see. Amarillo is like a lot of places. It's a place that you drive through on your way to another destination. Okay? And one of these days, when we go back again, maybe we'll stop and spend some time in Amarillo and find out just how inaccurate I was. Okay. The next stop after that was Winslow, Arizona. Why Winslow, Arizona? Well, we do have some Eagles fans here, right? We're going to take it easy. Standing on the corner, Winslow, Arizona, such a fine place to see. Yeah, we took pictures. It was kind of fun. I wanted to show you that reflection that you see in the store glass right there. That's a mural. It's painted. It's a wall, and it depicts some of the words in the Eagles song, "Take It Easy." There's nothing on the other side. You walk around behind the wall, and it's concrete block holding it up. It's a facade. It's fake. But it was a good time. Had somebody take our pictures. We handed a phone. It was Teresa's phone. We handed a phone to an older gentleman there. He was probably my age. Had his son, or a middle-aged, maybe 25, 30-year-old son there with him. And, hey, would you take our picture? And no one never, ever says no. I mean, they're going to take your picture. And he took the phone and he handed it to his son and says, "Here, I don't know how to work these things." So the son took the picture, and that's where he took that one right there for. So we stayed that night in Winslow, Arizona. We stayed in a cheap hotel. Yeah. But we stayed in Winslow, Arizona. That cheap hotel turned into instead of a $50 a night hotel, it turned into about a $500 a night hotel. But God is good, and He blessed us with some really great insurance coverage. I have learned one thing. It was a life lesson. That's exactly what it was. It was a life lesson. The people that stay in cheap hotels do not treat other people's property with the same respect as those that stay in a 5-star resort. That's just the way it is, I guess. Not that way with me. Next day, Grand Canyon. We were riding up Arizona Route 64 after riding, I think we were taking 41, maybe it was 40 west. And this is another road. The speed limit is 70 miles an hour, and we're going like this. And it's up and down a little bit, and there's a few curves in there. It seems like about every 10 miles or every 5 miles, you've got to make a course correction. It's incredible, incredibly fast. I told you I would have to unlock my laptop here so I can see where I'm at. When we got there about 10 o'clock in the morning. When I saw the Grand Canyon, I was speechless. That's not good for me. I tend to talk. I tend to talk when I'm near friends and when I'm with friends. When I'm a bunch of strangers or someone that's not family, I will tend to be kind of quiet. But when I saw the Grand Canyon, I was absolutely speechless. I thought, wow, look at that. There were people from all around the world. It was crowded. It was really crowded. They take between 5.5, 6 million people there every year. I can understand that. But when we walked out to Mather's Point, which is right near the visitor center, I didn't see the people. I didn't hear the different languages they were talking. I was just struck by the awe and the beauty. I was struck by the enormity of God's creation. It was amazing. I don't have the words for it. I took pictures. They don't do it justice. How many have been to the Grand Canyon? Am I wrong? I just couldn't say anything. It was like God was saying to me, I made this for you. Do you like it? Pictures don't do it justice. It's incredible. A few facts about the Grand Canyon. It's 277 miles long. At its widest point, it is 18 miles wide. And it's over a mile deep at its deepest point. At the bottom of this gorge, this canyon, this ravine, is the Colorado River. And I'm going to step out on a limb here and share with you what I believe. Scientists say that it took 50 to 70 million years to create the Grand Canyon. I don't see that. Don't care what you think about that. I think that the Grand Canyon was created in one catastrophic, instantaneous event. Don't know when, don't care. What I do care about is that God created it. The photos, I didn't take these photos, by the way. My photos look like your photos. They look terrible. But the photos can capture the color. They can capture the size and the scale. But what they don't capture is the feeling that I had inside of me, that permeated me. My God did this for me, or for you, or for you, or for you. That one moment there while I was at the Grand Canyon, is a sacred moment to me now. It's because that's when God came to visit me. I am reminded about a story that I once read from Max Lucado. Max Lucado is one of the great Christian authors, been at it for about 30, 40 years now, and he does an incredible job. He's got dozens and dozens of books, and I have probably a couple dozen of them, many of them gift from my sister and brother-in-law. But I remember this one story, and I couldn't find this story, so here's another one. I'm going to paraphrase it because I couldn't find it among all of his works. I do my best. Imagine being invited to a cookout, a Memorial Weekend cookout. By God. He's outside getting the grill ready, getting the meal prepared. And you know that God could just say, there you go. But he's got to prepare it. In my analogy, in this story, I've got to prepare it. So God is out there getting the grill ready. He's getting it hot. He's getting ready to put meat on the grill or corn on the cob or vegetables or tomatoes or something like that. And you're inside sipping an iced tea or a lemonade, waiting. He's biding your time. And you notice a wall of photographs. Interesting wall. They're mostly black and white because they're older photographs. Few colored photographs here and there. So you get up and you walk over to the photographs and you're expecting to see, well, you're expecting to see pictures of Moses. I would like to know what Moses looked like. Or Abraham or Jacob or Isaac or Jesus, right? Then you suddenly realize that those are not who you're looking at. You're looking at modern photographs. This is modern day. There's a young couple in this one black and white photograph, and they have a young child with them. They aren't very old, and the child maybe a few months. And then you see another photograph. The couple is a little bit older. The child that was an infant is now a little bit older. And the realization comes to you that these are photos of your parents. And the child and the infant are you. And here's a picture of you wailing and your mom putting baking soda on your finger to get this bee sting out. Or maybe it was your foot. Or maybe it was a skinned knee with a Band-Aid. I don't remember that photo. Here's another one of you at graduation. This one's in color and everybody is beaming, just smiling because you graduated. This is on God's wall. This is incredible. Here's another photo of you graduating boot camp or completing a military school or maybe coming home from deployment. Here's another photo with you and your buddies. Some of those buddies aren't here anymore. Here's another photo. I don't remember any photos being taken there, but here's another photo of you at your dad's memorial service. And here's a photo of you holding your mom's hand as she takes her last breath. There are dozens of photos on this wall, and they're all of you. They're all of you. This is God's wall. You hear a noise behind you, and you turn, and God is there, and He says, I was there, you know. I knew you were there, God. You're always there. Yeah. He smiles. Still smiling, He sets the dinner on the table. You ask, why are all these photos here? He has no response for you. You look at the table and He says, I made your favorites. Barbecue. Yeah. Chicken. Stunned and a little bit overwhelmed, you say, but why, Lord? Why dinner with my favorite foods and all of the photos of me? Why am I the guest of honor here? God stops and He says, because you are that important to me. Because you're that important to me. Now that is the view. That is the perspective that I want us to realize today. It is the same view, the same perspective, the same communication, the same story that we have heard for years now. Pastor Leanne says, I'm just a little girl with a great big daddy. Yeah, I'm just a little boy with a great big daddy. And he thinks that I'm so important. He's always with us. Every mountain we face is just a molehill to him. Every cold wind that blows, he's there to warm us. Every raging storm that comes, he provides the shelter. Every weapon formed against us will not prosper. He wants the best for us, not some cheap $50 a night hotel. He wants a 5-star resort. Amen? He's our helper in time of need. He's our healer. He is our provider. He is our Almighty. He created the earth and everything that's in it just so you can say, wow. Do you get the picture? He thinks that we're that important. He's interested in our choices too. There's always to be choices. I had choices to make. I decided not to wear my blazer this morning. I had choices to make. Do we take the motorcycle or do we take the car? We took the car. What am I going to do after service? Am I going to go out to eat or are we going to go to a picnic? Choices to make every time. I'm going to ask Pastor Josue to come up right now, if you would. One last thing while he's coming up, I want to share with you something that I noticed out west. That even though the speed limit was 80 miles an hour, people were riding 85, 88. I am close to 90 miles an hour, and I cannot believe that we're still in one piece. I can't believe that when my wife was driving 90 miles an hour that she didn't kick me out because I said, slow down. But she didn't. But I have to say this. When you're coming up on a truck on the interstate and you're going 80, 85 plus, and that truck is going slower than that, your closure rate is really high. You come up on that truck really, really fast, particularly if they've looked at a hill and the truck decides, I'm going to slow down. Okay? That happens. You have less time to make that merge into the left-hand lane. You've always got to be watching. You need to be aware. You want to avoid that trailer's bumper. Before you know it, you're right on top of him. The same thing is true about our spiritual life. The closure rate on eternity gets higher every day. And before you know it, so I have to ask, what choice will you make? Will you accept God's invitation to the cookout? To realize how important you are to him. A cookout where you are the guest of honor.